All right, I'm gonna grab one more beer before we get into the nitty gritty. I didn't know we were gonna pregame this long, so
Sorry, yeah, we'll get right
that's all
into
right.
it.
All right, let's.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Scattered Cast, a podcast where me and my brother sit down and discuss what we're into in the moment, whether it's gaming, movies, trading cards, Magic the Gathering, just kind of hash out what we're into. This is the second recording of our physical media
Right.
series that we wanted to jump into. If you watched the previous episode, you understand that I messed up and didn't hit the record button. So, but we just wanted to take like a cool, different approach to discussing physical media, why we do it. I think there's a lot of like not negativity towards it. There's always like a this and that kind of list of physical or digital, and as two people that embrace both. But we definitely lean more into the physical media. We just want to discuss like why do we still enjoy physical media and kind of just present it in a chill kind of environment in a way that doesn't seem so
Yeah, we're
elitist to
definitely
get down
not
our
haters in either
nose. Yeah,
camp. Yeah.
yeah, just like a chill way of just like someone just explain, hey, tell me why you like physical media without getting lectured to, you know what I mean? So
Right.
that's kind of the basis. So I'm Travis. As always, I'm here with Ray, and
Ray.
we're
Ray.
going to
Ray.
kind of structure this episode a little bit differently. We're going to pose a question, I'll answer, he'll answer, then we'll discuss, and then depending on the length, the next question might go into the next episode. So we got three main questions, just to get them out real quick, so you guys know what we'll be talking about. The first question is, why is it important to curate our media? The second question is, why is it important that media takes up physical space? Like, why is it important that you can see it and it's somewhere it's not just on a device somewhere? And why is it important to continue to buy physical media, in this day and age when everything is so easy to obtain? So those are our three questions. And, it might be three episodes, maybe two, maybe one. So let's see how this goes. So let's jump right into it. Why is it important to curate my media? And I'm going to answer this from. So I realized through the pandemic that I don't really have any hobbies anymore. Like I do, but I don't. And not that it's based on just purchasing crap, but I don't go to stores anymore, really. I don't want to just buy shit on Amazon. Even though last episode I bought Short Circuit 2 on Amazon.
Right.
Um, but I don't, my usual stomping grounds for the things I collect, I don't go to anymore, or just haven't been able to, don't feel comfortable. Um, and my main things that I curate for myself are music and classic retro kind of video games, or video games
Hmm.
in general, and books and movies to an extent. But mostly those first two, like movies, it must be something I really, really want to own, but mostly music is my main curation. And we showed these off last time. Um, but I don't do this to be like a hipster, because I don't think there's anything hip about like, you know, shit like this. But like, I still rock my iPod. I've gotten made fun of at work when we would work in the
Right.
office, of like people picking it up, like, you're still listening to this? And I was like, yeah, because I like having my music. I used to download podcasts to it, but then it became too tedious because it was like a routine to me, to download them, because I used to work nights at a second job. So it was really cool to, like, 3 nights a week before I would leave, it was like jump on the computer, grab the new podcast, throw them in, and listen to them all night. And then just stuff changes when you're not doing that, and I would forget, and then I started to get behind. So I would just use the podcast app on my phone, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
Bluetooth headphones, and it was cool because I know it was getting more space for music.
Yeah.
But I'm not I'm not a douchey music snob, but I am kind of a music snob. Like, so I guess the perfect example is, I don't think I'm better than anybody because of my music choices, but I do have particular music choices. Does that make
Yeah.
sense to me,
No. Yeah.
to anybody?
Yep.
I'm not like a dick. I'm not like, oh, have you heard of their, like, there's nothing pretentious about it. And plus, I listen to a lot of like shit that like people would make fun of me for. So I, whatever, I don't care.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, enjoy what you like. I feel like that's the main purpose of. We're
I
we're
get
gonna say
called.
that a
I get
lot on
called
this
fucking
pod.
weird on a daily
Yeah,
basis. So
like
like,
I can't be a
if it's
snob
not the
about
music,
anyone's
if it's
music
the
choice.
movies I watch, it's something else. So
But I was always the guy who found the new bands, who discovered the new artists in our group, that made mixtapes. I had a turntable, at one point, and it has extra auxiliary. So I would have, records and the CD port hooked up so I could play CDs. I could do tapes and I could do VHS, which now I'd get like movies. So it'd be like, I mean, up until the point of like Lord of the Rings was out, you know what I mean? And I was still doing this, like, because that's crazy to think of like early 2000s, you could still get VHS. So I like I rented a VHS copy of Lord of the Rings to get cool stuff from Twin from the Two Towers
Right.
and have like cool battle music with like Slipknot or something. And see, that's why I can't make fun of people for music choices because I'm sure there's a lot of people that could look down their nose at me because I love Slipknot. You know what I mean?
Right.
But who cares? Whatever. Like what you like. Um, but I
Well,
love
Slipknot was awesome in the beginning, and then they got like uber popular. And then as soon as something becomes uber
yeah,
popular,
beat
then
shit
it's
out of
like it's like it's the
dude. Their
hip thing
latest
to fucking
album.
bag
Oh,
on it.
dude, that's so good.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, but I was always that guy. Um, and I like curating my own music. I like if I'm listening to streaming like in the car or stuff like that, it's either, I feel like it's just background noise, you
Mhm.
know, unless something comes up that I haven't heard in a while, then I'll Shazam it for later. I still make mixes. I made some stuff on the computer using what I edit the podcast with, made like a 90-minute one track playlist. Like I was like, dude, I'm going, my friends, we do a running relay. And so I made an album. It was literally like an old school mixtape form, but on CD.
Yep.
And it was like
With no
awesome.
pauses, so you got to
Nope.
commit.
You got to commit.
You got to
You
commit
gotta
to the
commit. And
whole
if your
thing.
car like forgets and jumps back to the first, you got to listen to the whole thing.
That's awesome.
But it's I would mind to make some more. But I love that mentality. I like we grew up in that era of taping our own stuff, sharing music with amongst ourselves, not sharing it with the world. Um, you know, being in charge of what we listen to, and it's a kind of it's a weird hobby to have. And I of course I look at me. Of course I have records. You know what I mean? I look like a guy that would have records. And you're never going to hear me say like it sounds better on vinyl because it's just like it's so pretentious. It's like listen to it how you can listen to it if you can, because I always think like someone tweeted this out, this is not mine, but the whole idea of like when you hear someone say, oh, I have that on vinyl, it just means like they super bought it, like they bought it
Right.
again. And I love records though because we grew up with that, and I love the taking them out and taking care of them, and listening to the whole musical piece. But I would never like, I would rather you listen to something that's cool the way you can, like do this band, find this band that's awesome, than be like, no,
Yeah.
then you have to find it and then find it on vinyl because that's the only way to listen to it. It's like, no, just find it. Listen to how you like it, do what you like. But that's how I've always been, and I still enjoy that. My wife likes records. We love collecting records. I like seeing my music. And just the other day, just with everything going on politically and in the world, I just wanted to listen to like my music and go through like like this like a time capsule. I can find stuff that I haven't listened to in years or stuff that is from a better time in
Hmm.
that's going on, or like, oh, I remember being in college driving to school listening to the song, or like right around the time me and my wife got married, like discovering this band and stuff like that. And so there's like little time um, placeholders in my life that I like having that. And then like, not that you can't do that with streaming, but it's different. It's like a different sort of curation.
Oh
Um,
man, music is like the ultimate diary.
oh,
Like
totally.
for
Yeah.
real.
I mean, I
Like you
used to
can
have
listen, to music, and you can say that the same thing, but like music in general
mhm.
is like you can hear certain songs or whatever, and you can immediately jump to a point in your life where that was like either something that was playing, or like you just said, like you can remember like a point in time. Like I remember going over to a friend's house, and I had this mix CD in my like
Mhm.
freaking 2001 Sonoma, and
Yeah.
I every time I hear a couple of those songs that were on that CD, I like remember that time. Like I remember
Yep.
driving in that snowstorm to my friend's house with that CD playing in the
Yeah.
background.
Or like, yeah, white knuckling it. Like, yeah, I remember like locking my keys in the cars at Motor Mall, and like dad had to come pick me up. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And like listening to this like album I was like super into on the way back, to the house. We had to stop at every gas station to clean off our windshields. I think that I forget the name of the band, but the album was like "And Don't Forget to Breathe." is like this old school like screamo, from the early '90s.
Yeah.
But and I'm also a big believer with me personally that I like finding. It's like you find stuff when I need it. You know what I mean? And like when you have like, I think it's cool to have everything at your fingertips and just pay like a fee. But
Hmm.
then I feel like I wouldn't discover stuff when I need to discover it or have it when I need to have it.
Right.
And and that idea of just like, and I listen to stuff on YouTube now a lot, working from home. So you just like click out, I just got into the Viagra Boys, so I'm listening to like Lick the Bag like over and over and over again. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
go out and get their stuff because not everything is available on YouTube, or I don't want to
Right.
always listen to an ad, and I want to listen to it. We have a cool record area to listen to records and albums and stuff like
Well,
that.
that'll bleed into probably question number three. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but no, it's just
exactly.
like
Like
so it's.
why we decide to keep that
Mhm.
physical media at our
Well, and
fingertips. But
the only thing that I'll get into the difference between physical and digital is that there is the reality that we live in with the condensing of like, it's not record labels in charge of everything anymore. It's
mhm,
it's streaming services. So it's like when we grew up, it was big record labels controlling music and a ton of smaller labels if you were lucky, and you could get some independent artists that way, or like a band would like, like when Nine Inch Nails signed with Geffen, he got his own label, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So there was like forward thinking individuals in the '90s that could push, the smaller bands up to the top, and we've traded. Technology can now do that, but instead of having a few big record labels with a bunch of little indie, we have a few, very few streaming services with just technology kind of being the indie. And you can still kind of have little indie labels, but they're not as
yeah.
powerful, So it's just like, it's like sort of like we just swapped like dictators out, you know what I mean?
Right.
And artists still aren't making money, you know what I mean, the way they should. And the consumers are still stuck. Like the two people that the shift should have helped, it didn't help, you know what I
No.
mean? So,
Right.
and it's like we're still stuck in the same position, and as we're living through the second, we're starting in the second big shift in media. We lived through music,
Hmm.
some could say it's still happening, but we went from, like I said, from big record labels to like computer services. Like who controls music now? Apple, Google,
Yeah.
Spotify. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So now it's three big companies and maybe a couple smaller ones controlling everything, and we're going to get into situations where the band you don't like is in a different service, and you're probably going to have to juggle a couple different services, and if that's fine with you, that's fine. But this is something that I just don't want to do. And then there's some months I don't even buy music. I just like what I have and I'm happy. And then there's other months where I spend like a shit ton of money on music, so it's kind of just, it's not even like a price point thing.
Yeah.
I would say I'd probably spend just as much a year on anybody else paying for a streaming service plus the data that it's going to take to get all
Yeah.
that music.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and we're seeing it with movies, the next big shift. It's, you know, it used to be cable with cable providers like HBO and stuff like that owning everything, and then streaming services and everything with the streaming services, and everything's on all these different ones. And now you're slowly seeing them roll into just
Right.
Amazon, Netflix, Apple,
Yep.
you know,
Disney.
Disney.
Don't forget Disney, because
Oh
Disney
shit,
owns
yeah,
like
Disney.
40% of the
Yeah.
fucking
So it's
like.
like, we just switched, we
Yeah.
just switched stuff. So instead of having a cable service, you have a streaming service in your house. So
And we'll get into
we'll get
that.
into that. I
We'll
don't
get
want
into
to
that
start it,
because
but that
no,
just,
no, this because that's like one of the things like and we'll get into that I think in question three, but I'll just mention it now. It's one of the things that like pisses me off right now with um all these videos I'm seeing going out and everything with the new Friday the 13th box set that came out,
yeah.
right? So Scream Factory just launched a it is like literally the complete box set. It
Mhm.
is all of
Everything.
the movies like 1 through 10 plus Freddy versus Jason plus the
Jason X is
like
like kind of hard to
2000
find. Yeah,
2009 like
it's good. That was a good
remake
one. Yeah.
like uh and like and I'm not gonna spend much time on this because you could pick anything. You could pick soda pop, and you're gonna have like your haters and your whatever, and your fans and your haters. But like I'm like watch these videos, and these guys are like, like, well, they really rushed it out because there is like a missing scene on Jason Goes to Hell, which is basically there's a part in that movie in the uncut version where the guy goes to punch um the dude and he grabs his wrist and like bends it back and like the bone pops out.
Mhm.
Like you and on the unrated version you can see that. Well,
Now is
on
that
the
like a
rated version
yeah.
you just see his facial reaction. Well,
Now
on the
is that
unrated disc,
licensing? Is that like a
no, it's just
licensing
it
or
was a mistake. It was
just
a
like
mistake. And on the unrated version of that disc, you know, um the it's basically the same scene. You're watching the unrated version, and you see the guy go to swing and then just go, "Argh," and
oh,
like and you hear the crunching, so you know he's like bones. But whatever. There's that. There is one part. You probably, even if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably at least seen this part referenced. It's in Jason X, and there's a scene where he picks up the girl in the sleeping bag,
so
and
smash
she's
her on
like,
the other girl? Yeah,
and then like slams it against a tree.
yeah.
Well, literally, like in that movie, he picks up the sleeping bag, and the sleeping bag is like wiggling back and forth, but there's no sound. Like there's no
Oh,
screaming. Like that, just one little like 10 seconds of audio for
yeah.
some reason is missing in this. And then there's some like screw up in like the
It was like
3D
an off
version.
center. But I think
Yeah,
a lot of that is just I mean, there
it
is
happens. It's
it
in
happens and
mastering and stuff like that.
yeah, it's
But
just
the reason why I bring that up, and I didn't want to like drone on about it, is because I'm like the me. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like if they're gonna do a disc replacement or something like that, like yeah, do your thing. Get your proper disc in, get your fix. But don't lose your mind over that because to get these freaking 12 movies all in one box set, do you
hard.
have any idea how hard that was? I mean, you're dealing with a freaking two different like you had to go through the Paramount movies and then the New Line movies and to be able to get the rights to be able to put all those movies out
Mhm.
at like the same time.
A
So
lot
that
to get
just goes
those now
back to
someone
where
would say now someone would argue and just be like, "Well, in digital, they could just fix it with your stream," but
Mhm.
also they could also take stuff away with your
right.
thing too, like, if
And
it's
we're gonna
not
talk
just,
about that probably like
yeah,
the one driving probably like theme of question number 3 is going to be that concept of rights management,
yeah,
who owns what, whether you really own the well, you talked about that, like we're not going to get heavily into that, like you don't really own it,
yeah,
like I get it, but like when it comes down to like when these like places like switch hands,
mhm,
that's when weird things happen. I mean, there's a reason why, and it's both good and bad. I mean, there's a reason why like all of a sudden out of the blue, you might go to the, and I'm like totally, this is off the top of my head, because I'm probably gonna screw this up. But there's a reason why, like every so often, you might go to like Walmart or something like that, and you're walking by, and all of a sudden you're like, "Holy fuck!" The entire freaking Voltron series on cartoon is in a box set for like $35, and you're like, "Where the fuck did that come from?" And it's like, yeah, some freaking movie picture house, something like that. Somebody bought the rights to something,
mhm,
and when they do that, they don't necessarily say, "Hey, like I want to buy the rights to Voltron," and
mhm,
that's it. It's like, no, you're getting fucking Voltron, My Little Pony, like everything
yeah,
that belongs to that motion. And so what they do is they end up putting that stuff out
yeah,
because they have it, and
or
they might
yeah,
as
they'll
well
get
because
pressured
they
by
they,
the
they
well,
make money.
and I think other people need to also realize is that, like, we might not think this way about ourselves, but we are grown ass adults. This
Hmm.
shit that like the majority of those movies were put out 30 years ago or
Yeah.
more. You know what I mean? So
Like I
imagine
saw some of those Jason movies at fucking Jason house. Like think
yeah.
about that. Like in
Well,
his basement.
yeah, like yeah, so it's like imagine like our fathers getting a Western, compilation. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
Like how like, as a little kid, like there has to be a market for this. There has to be like we might think it's the most
Yes.
important thing ever because it was to us, but in the
Right.
industry, not everybody wants to watch these older
That might
movies. So
not be
you
what's
need
selling right now. Yeah,
yeah, so
no.
you need to have I mean, because the newest movie on that.
especially like we're talking about slasher genres and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's like, what are we talking about? We're talking about like teens
Mhm.
in trouble, like doing naughty things you're not supposed to and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, we're freaking, you know, in our 40s or approaching our 40s. Like, we can have sex if we want. We can smoke freaking weed if we want.
Yeah.
Like, it's not back in the old days where it's like, oh, this is like such forbidden
Yeah.
fruit, and like, that's so
Yeah.
weird. It's like, yeah, it's like it's kind of hard for a 43-year-old to identify with a bunch of like camp counselors going
Yeah.
to, the lake for a weekend. And
Well, and it's like kids want, like, younger people, and rightfully so should be sold things that it's gonna buy. So not everyone's gonna go buy
right,
that was made for a select group. You know what I mean? And I think, like, the
right,
newest movie and that box set was made in 2008.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
like,
yeah.
like a president
We
in
watched we
Africa.
watched we
Two,
watched we watched
yeah,
Nine last night at work. Jason
yeah.
Goes to Hell, and I was like telling the guys, I was like, can you guys like think about it? I was like, this is literally the ninth movie in the franchise,
It was like
and it
95,
came out in '93.
93, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like I think people need to get the perspective of, like, yeah, there's, like, probably, like, 3 people at those Paramount New Line or
Hmm.
whatever that probably really champion this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
gonna be some mistakes, and they shouldn't be mistakes, not, saying there should,
Right.
but it's not, it's like I said, it's your dad picking up Westerns when you're a kid, and he's freaking out
Mhm.
because in The Good and Bad, the Ugly, the whistle cut out for 2 seconds during the final
Right.
scene. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
no, dude, he's gonna be jacked because he just freaking saw, like, he was
Yeah.
like, dude, I saw this
Now he could
movie
show these to his kids, you know?
in a yeah.
So,
and
no,
and that's like a whole, like, it's just it's a discussion for
the whole
another
episode,
time too,
yeah.
because like we just got done talking about too, where like me and you growing up, like we're like kind of like the perfect demographic for this, because it was like growing up, it like some of my earliest memories growing up, we did live in the, like, we only had like 4 or 5 channels,
Mm,
and we had to, like, do the antennas and stuff
yeah,
like that. And then in the mid 80s to late 80s, mom and dad got cable,
mhm.
so we had access to
I mean,
that.
we still call
And
it a clicker because it was,
yeah, right. And then they got a VCR,
yeah,
and we were able to rent like some tapes every once in a while from like that grocery, or that gas
gas
station,
station,
that it was like a gas station, grocery store, video rental place.
yeah,
And then from there, we got older, and we got to a point in time where, videotapes were a little bit easier to acquire, and then we,
mhm,
moved into the DVD
yeah,
era, and then Blu-ray, and now 4K. But the point is that, like, we know what it's like to live in a time where there was no streaming, there was no true physical media.
yeah.
Like, you literally had
You
access
missed
to
your
shit
show,
when
you're
it was
you're done.
on. Yeah,
Yeah,
like we talk about that with like the music thing, like being downstairs in the basement with that freaking boombox and the blank tape in it,
yeah.
listening to 96.3, waiting for Doo Doo Brown to come on so we could hit record, and because we wanted to be able to listen to that song whenever the fuck we wanted to
Yeah,
listen to
whatever we wanted.
it. And that, like, those were those days.
I wanna
And
listen to 3 Seconds
and
of
now it's like
96.3 and Peter Brown.
we live in an era to where I can literally be like, hey Siri, or hey Alexa, play Doo Doo Brown, and then she's like, okay, playing,
Good
whatever.
day,
And it's
Judy
like,
Brown.
so that's where you have these arguments from these people that are like, being like super stingy with like the content, or finding something wrong with it. Like how does this freaking mega Friday the 13th set come out,
Yeah,
and people are going to find a way to shit on it?
mhm,
And the reason why is because those people didn't come from an era where you didn't just get to watch Jason 9 whenever the fuck you wanted to.
yeah,
Like, you had to hope that shit came up on HBO and your mom and dad had an HBO
mhm,
subscription, or in the, family video slash Blockbuster days, you may go and rent it
yeah,
and bring it home and play it. And now we have, like, it's just we live in a world where we have instant access to everything, and
mhm.
so obviously our
We
tolerance
lose
for
perspective
mistakes,
of a lot of
yeah, our
stuff, yeah,
tolerance for mistakes is like, not very. We don't have a very
And
high
this is the
tolerance of
thing that
mistakes.
also is kind of, I mean, not everyone who owns that box set is going to own multiple versions of those movies,
Yeah,
but
I do.
I bet you there's a lot of people that own that box set, and then it's
Yep.
just like, you know, because I guarantee in a lot of those videos, it's like, well, in this version that came out, 3 years ago by such and such, it has the bone sticking out of the wrist. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah,
you have that. You can go get it. You know what I mean?
dude. So yeah, the unrated version of Jason. Go back to Jason 9. We watched last night. The unrated version of that, they have you can choose to play the movie with the director's intro, and
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like maybe like a 4 or 5 minute thing, like talking about like the differences in the
Mhm.
unrated version, whatever. And literally, his intro is like, "Hey, welcome to the
Yeah.
blah blah," and he's like, "Congratulations on purchasing probably your fourth or fifth version of this
Of this
movie
movie,
or
and
whatever." And
he
he's
knows
like,
who the
"Have
fans are.
fun," and then
Yeah.
it goes into the movie. It's like,
Yep.
but it's so true. It's like, dude, yeah, exactly. I'm like, I probably literally have like 5 versions of some of
Yeah.
these movies,
Dude, I got so many
and I
versions
keep
of
them
Evil
because,
Dead, like
oh my
Evil
god, dude, I've
Dead,
got so many
Mallrats.
versions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just keep buying them because I love those
yeah,
movies, and if they add something
right.
in,
Yeah, and if
um,
they add anything of like relevance to it, like if it's a new commentary, if it's a documentary or something like that,
yeah,
like some of these movies will literally come out and they'll add like 2 to 3 hours of
mhm,
documentary footage to them, and it's like, dude, you're really honestly getting like two, maybe almost three movies now out of one movie.
yeah,
So yeah, you may be seeing a movie you've already seen,
mhm.
but if you add that 2 to 3 hours of footage that you didn't see before, or documentaries or interviews, that's a
I mean,
whole
there's versions
another
like
gamut.
we've sold some of our extra copies of certain things, but there's certain ones that we own. Like we have like the only way we own um the Dark Knight Rises, the one with Bane, that one,
Yeah.
is it's probably an awful vein. My brain. That's probably an awful Bane impression, but the only reason why we own three is we got the set. You know,
Yeah.
it's like the book set. So I kept my original DVD of the first movie
Hmm.
because it's like there's probably stuff on there, and then I kept the second one too because it was like, yeah, I guarantee you there's stuff on this special edition Blu-ray that didn't get into the box set. I guarantee you the
Right.
box set is just bare bones movies.
Box sets, yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
times they usually are. I mean, unless they're like something I don't want to keep hitting a Friday 13th
mhm,
thing. But the Friday 13th one, obviously, that that was designed to be
yeah.
that way. But like, I just got
The fact
for
that your
$14 at Best Buy the other day,
mhm,
I got the entire 8 movie Saw collection on Blu-ray.
Jesus Christ.
It's like every single Saw movie, but it's just every single Saw movie.
Well,
There's no
yeah.
like commentaries, deleted scenes, nothing. It's like, but the whole point is like, I'm like, if I want to watch any of these fucking Saw movies
Mhm.
at any given time, I can just be like,
See, that's where I like your
like
version.
that.
I like this because
Yeah.
it's all of them, but this is like a normal clamshell.
Yep.
Um, like one of the things I was excited about with when you got yours was that it was individual Blu-ray cases.
Hmm.
You know, um, and another thing with like physical media and stuff like that, when you're talking about multiple versions, is like so I it's probably not on this episode, but I cut it out. But I watched Halloween for the first time.
Hmm.
Um, like I've totally thrown my like horror movie credit out the window. It's okay. I deserve it. But we watched for the first time, or I watched it the first time with my friend the other night, and um, we talked about it. I think in the last episode because we referenced the cover of Working by Anchor Bay. So
Yes.
I bought this in uh, 2007, and I know that because I had a sticker on the front that this is like the record equivalent. Like we'll buy records, and they'll have like, fill out the form, get
Hmm.
yourself a T-shirt, get yourself that REO Speedwagon tour shirt. So, do you think I can get my movie money to go see Halloween from Rob Zombie?
Dude, that's
think,
awesome.
do you think you think you're gonna get my credit?
Right. That's awesome.
It's hey, mission
Dude,
up to 50.
I've actually, because
So
if
that's
you
gonna
look
go in
in the
there as a little time
background,
capsule.
yeah, if you look in the
Yeah,
background,
you're doing something.
yeah, you can see big gaps there now. I'm in the midst of a big
Oh,
reorganization, but
what
I've
else? Oh,
actually
sorry.
was that
Oh, what
no,
I
I
was
was just gonna say I've actually no shit opened up DVDs and stuff like that recently
mhm.
that I still had folded up the receipt
Let's
and
see,
then
dude,
stuck it in
games. Yeah,
the little
all
tab
day with
that
games,
holds
yeah.
the like yep.
Yeah, find it. But real quick about owning some physical media. So me and my friend watched that. It's a DVD. I watched it in my PlayStation 4 because I don't have a Blu-ray player. I don't have a dedicated Blu-ray player. We have a normal, just flat screen, whatever TV, modern TV.
Mhm.
It looks so good, and it
Yeah.
is a bare bones transfer of a DVD. Because Best Buy does this a lot. Because you've been posting some of your. Follow us on Instagram, by the way, at Scattercast, because you've been posting a lot of DVD pickups, and then maybe at the end of the month we'll do like a cool retrospective because Ray's been watching horror movies each night, and you had a couple from Best Buy 3 years ago did special graffiti covers of classic horror movies.
Yes.
Then
Yep.
and when you open them up, you realize it's a piece of paper goobered on to the front of just an
It
old.
is. Yeah. It's not even like yeah. They
So
literally just took like a cardboard stocking and slapped it onto the.
slapped it on. And then I picked it off of my Return of the Living Dead, and it damaged the cover a little bit, but I slid it
Mhm.
in the back behind it, so I still have it. So I saw your Child's Play one. The
Nice.
Best Buy notoriously will repackage older Blu-rays or DVDs as new as
Mhm.
something cool, but it's just a transfer of another version of it. So you'll get
Yeah.
like this has a for being a 2007 movie, it has an old ass menu system. Like I
Mhm.
accidentally, Ray as a joke said, "Dude, rock that in full screen," and I did on accident because it was like the UX design was all jacked up, and they thought I was on widescreen. I wasn't, but the picture looked so good, and even though the sound cuts out in one part, and it was a very quiet movie, I had to have the sound bar up and stuff like that. But still, I would keep this one because it looked so good. And if you get a Blu-ray
Yeah.
version, that transfer not be as good, but there's a bunch of extras on it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's weird that you have to
Right.
like kind of own a couple different versions because my best friend Dave was like, that wasn't Blu-ray. And I was like, no, that looked so good for like an old DVD. So it must have been like a special edition from like the early 2000s that they
Yeah.
repackaged
Yeah.
for
Not all
the new
transfers are
movie.
created equal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, but before we move on, you need to answer the question.
Yeah.
Why is it important to curate your media? And I know we kind of did our discussion point in the middle, so maybe we'll just answer.
Right.
We'll pick
Yeah.
up
Yeah. No,
maybe
it's
more, but
cool. Oh,
let's get to your point, and then
no,
anything
my
else because I kind of talked over top of you. So anything
yeah.
else
No.
you
No.
want
That's no problem at all. No. Uh. I struggled with how to answer this question the first time, and so now in retrospect, I'm kind of glad, even though we
yeah,
had some internet
I'm kind of
gold
glad that we are doing this.
in
Yeah.
that one, but I'm glad. But yeah,
It is
I
recording.
struggled with how to
Recording.
answer that the first time, and I kind of got lost in the discussion. But yeah, but no, the reason why I decided to keep this stuff is because anybody can at any point in time, like you know like I get it. I pay for a Spotify
Hmm.
membership because I look at it as if I'm going to get free music, like whenever I want to at least be paying
Hmm.
something for it. Like I know it doesn't really pay the bills for the
Yeah,
artist,
but
whatever.
it's something. Yeah.
But I I can at any point in time be like, oh, I want to listen to this, whatever.
Hmm.
But there's no like real um there's not like stories and stuff like that tied to that.
Hmm.
And so with now transferring from music into movies, like with my movie collection, it's it's important to me to curate my movies and stuff like that because there's always kind of like a story to tell there, or you just never know what's going to happen when you go in and you start looking through it. And the example I'll use is I think like a month or a month and a half ago, my brother-in-law had to work in downtown downtown like Indianapolis, and he lives an almost an hour and a half away. And it was one of those things that was like 24 hours of call in work. So it was like they called him in, he went in, he did his thing, and then they're like, okay, we don't need you, but we could call you back
Anytime.
any point in time in the next, like
Mhm.
whatever, within that 24-hour period. And so he reached out and he was like, hey, do you mind if I come, hang out with you, because
Hmm.
you're only like 30 minutes away from Indy, so if I get called then I can go run back down there. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And he got here and we like shot the shit and stuff like that. And then he was like, hey man, I want to see, like, like I want to, like, let you and Amber do your thing and stuff like that. I want to be in your hair, but I want to grab a couple movies and go down in the basement and
Hmm.
watch the movies in here. I'm like, oh, that's no problem. And he comes in here and it was like we spent like an hour in here.
Like,
Like he was like grabbing things and like being like, oh my god, like you've got like the Evil Dead, like, do you remember that? And like there was like this whole like story
mhm.
and show and tell period, and just like we came together and like had like this great discussion on movies, and then it led into music, because like some of the movies we talked about had to do with music and stuff like that. And I'm like, we would have never had that
Mhm.
if he came over and was just like, hey man, what's your Wi-Fi password? I
Yeah.
wanna I
Here's
wanna
I got my
log
tablet.
into I wanna log into Netflix and see what's playing.
Mhm.
You're like, cool, like no big
Yeah.
deal. Like that whole conversation um wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just important to me to like have, I like having access to my stuff. I like having tangible, you know,
Mhm.
just thing. Like I like being able to come into my office. This is where a majority of my toys,
Mhm.
like I'm a 43-year-old child. I still play video games, and I like coming in here and looking around and just seeing these different things. And
Yeah.
like a lot of these things tell like a story. I mean, you believe it or not, it's like it's funny because my memory gets kind of hazy with certain things, but like I can pick like a random movie out of my collection, and
Mhm.
I could be like, man, I remember
Yeah.
I remember getting this. I have Okay, so, and this is not bragging. Like I'm not saying this
Oh,
to
yeah,
to,
none of
to
this
brag at
episode is
all, but
bragging
this
at
is
all.
just an example.
'Cause my movie
So
collection is teeny,
yeah,
like, compared to a lot of people.
so so what you see in the background, and it's kind of hard, but that's a
Yeah, you're
lot. There
doing
there's
some
so there's still all
renovations.
that up there, plus there's two cabinets at the bottom that are
Yeah.
closed off that you can't see.
Uh-huh.
That's all stuff that I still have to scan into my movie app.
Yeah.
I have 1,800 fucking DVDs already scanned in,
Not counting what's on there?
not counting that.
Damn.
And what that's up there constitutes almost half of what I own.
Jesus. You
So,
probably have, like, close
right,
to 5,000 movies.
right. So, but the point I'm saying is it's not to
Yeah.
brag about how many movies I have. It's to brag about the fact of how I'm still able to this day go out and pick something up.
Mhm.
And I've gotten burned just a couple times, but very rarely do I ever go and get something and then find out later, like, oh fuck, I already had that.
And I
You know,
think me and
and
you
so
have
that's
done it about the same amount of times. And for me,
mhm,
not having a very big collection, like I've
right.
either updated something, said, "Hey, do you need this?" and given it to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I think you've only given us like two DVD. Not that you
Right.
have to, but like you gave us North by Northwest and the breakup because those were extras. And I think it was just that you found a better version of it. And it was like, there's
Yep.
nothing I need this for. But
North by
it's
Northwest is because I bought the North by Northwest DVD, and then they came out with Warner Brothers was doing these things. This obviously is not it. This is the camera, but they were doing these box sets that were like that size,
is
called
that the
like
back of the
Warner.
Gamora or Gamora?
Yeah,
The
Gamma.
Gamera?
Yeah, there were Warner Brother classic like box sets. They came with like the movie, a film cell, like
Mhm.
an actual splice of the movie
Yeah.
in there, and then like a actual
Those are
poster and
sweet.
stuff.
You have a Spider-Man as well, don't you? Like
Right.
Spider-Man 2?
And the movie that was in there though, the North by Northwest disc that was in there, it was like the exact
Same one. Yeah.
same thing. It was the exact case.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing different about it. So I
Yep.
was like, here you go. And then the breakup thing came from the fact that when me and Amber started dating, like when we moved in together and we combined
Mhm.
collections of things, she had about a 40 or 50 movie collection, and there was like quite a few
Yeah. That was like
doubles that
me
came
and
on. Like we
Dana.
had like two
Yeah.
copies of Shrek, we had two copies of Breakup. Yeah, So
Yeah, we had 2 copies of 10 Things I Hate About You and Bring It On.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
right.
it's like those are fine. But we did keep her versions of the Reservoir Dogs because I always used to run as Vic Vega. So I have the
Mhm.
Mr. Blonde one, and then she had Mr.
Nice.
Orange. So we have blonde and orange next to each other. And then you
Yeah.
got us the 15, I think the 15-year anniversary where it's in
The
the
gas
gas can.
can.
Yeah.
Nice.
And those are displayed, like all of our special editions downstairs are kind of displayed on top.
That's
We
cool.
got a couple that we kind of like to
Yeah.
kind of show
I
off.
just came across my gas can the other day
Yeah.
because I have
Yeah,
got
and you
like this
got me
bottom.
the gas can, and then you got me a steel. It's not a steel book; it's a steel box of Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I have seen that one a lot. That's one of my favorites.
Right. They're doing it again. I mean, so not to get off track because we'll talk about this a lot in the third question,
Mhm,
but like with these new labels and stuff like that, like Shout Factory and stuff like that, like there are labels out there that are still trying to take advantage of like the special packaging, like you know,
mhm,
the Book of the Dead one and stuff
yeah,
like that. But yeah, when I first got into like not just getting stuff to have it, you know,
mhm,
like my first few movies, I had like The Wedding Singer,
yeah,
I had Independence Day, I had Armageddon, and that's because those were, you know, goofy ass movies that we would sit around and like drink a beer and like quote and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like there was like not, I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm not
yeah,
saying they're good.
yeah.
And
They're
then
just popcorn watchable movies.
right, and then all of a sudden it seemed like in the early to mid 2000s companies started really taking advantage of
Mhm,
like the we're not only going to put this on DVD, but we're going to put it out on like special
yeah.
packaging, tons of features and stuff like that. And we talked about this before. Where like in the beginning when I bought
It was a
movies,
way to
like
combat theft. It
yeah,
was like, yeah, you can download this, but can you get the Royal Tenenbaums in a book
oh, that's a good
that
point.
looks like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
book?
Like you can't get that. Like this thing is
Yeah.
freaking awesome. It smells like ass, but I mean, it feels like the
Smells
book.
like it's made out of
It
skin.
yeah, it feels like this is as close to feeling like what the book felt like in the movie to the
Yeah,
characters, you know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love that shit, and I used to love that tangible feeling. So yeah, that's why I choose to kind of
Mhm,
curate my own stuff and just have my own my own choices of what
mhm.
I want to be able to
Yeah,
watch. Like I've got Netflix, obviously, I've got Amazon Prime,
mhm.
but
Well, it's cool
it's
that you can.
it's what they want to have out at this point
Yeah,
in time.
it's
So yeah, like right now, obviously in October,
mhm,
there's a good selection of freaking horror movies on Netflix and Prime.
mhm,
But I'm a horror fan. I don't just watch
mhm.
horror movies in October.
Yeah.
So in May, if I want a good horror movie, I may not be able to find one on
Well, and it's
Netflix
crazy
or
that how different Netflix looked between accounts. Like, we like a lot of stand-up, so we would so ours has tons of stand-up, like, served up to us. And so we were at my in-laws' house not too long ago, and we're trying to tell them about Nate Bargatze's, the Tennessee Kid is a really good stand-up. And our Netflix, it's within a couple clicks of the PlayStation controller right to comedy. Theirs is 100, like, completely. I had to
right.
actually go in and search for it. So there is this. You curate your own content with what you watch, but then you're also served up stuff based on what other people watch. Because a
Oh,
lot of
for
your
real.
recommendations
Yeah.
are based on something. Oh, someone else watched this, so now you can. You know what I mean? You might have
Yep.
something similar, where it's very cool
That's the same
to
thing with
own.
physical stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
Amazon's the same way. You buy something, and all of a
yeah,
sudden, like, how many times have you gotten a message from Amazon? It's like, oh, based on what was in your wish list or based on what you bought 2 weeks
yeah,
ago, we think you might like this item, and you're like, oh shit, I
yeah.
need that, and
So
like,
it either
you don't
works
fucking
or
need that.
no.
There's just the Amazon suggestion for you.
Dude, I love that they're like, buy it again. You know what? They bought it again for me. There's like, buy it
Hmm.
again. That Godzilla PlayStation 4 game is like $300.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they buy it again. Really? Yeah, okay.
Right.
But it's something cool about like going into an area where you are in total control of it. You have it all. You know what I mean? You have what you like. I feel like we kind of answered a little bit of why is it important to take, or why is it important that our media takes up physical space. But I think I want to piggyback on
I
what
think
you
one and
said.
two kind of blend together a little bit.
Yeah, but what you had said something about like coming into the office having stories. That's kind of like what me and Dana. like about with our vinyl. It's in a it's in the basement. It's, we have it alphabetized, and we bag them up when we can. And
Mhm.
it's something cool about just like that conversation piece of like you go through and you can pull it out, and it's really cool watching like tape culture come back. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like the '90s kids are kind of getting into it, and like Death Wish just put out a freaking special edition 8 track of one of their
Oh, no
band.
shit.
Yeah, like 108 tracks. It's like this is someone's just buying this to put up. No one's playing this shit. This is gonna get eaten up in any 8 track
No,
player that exists.
because it's
Those
probably
art
virtually
thieves.
impossible to find a fucking 8-track
We
working 8-track
Dana's brother
player.
got one for us.
That's
We have an
awesome.
8 track player, but there's is something very conversational about it, and there's also you're going to do something that expresses who you are in some way in life. You're
Mhm.
either going to buy clothes you like with the bands. It's like, why do you wear a band T-shirt? You know what I mean? So you can tell everybody this is who I like. You know
Right.
what I mean? So when you have like a collection of stuff in your house, they don't have to guess what you like. You know what I mean? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're
No, that's a great
clearly
point.
into
Yeah.
music, and then they can kind
Yep.
of relate to it, or they can just be like, because it's a swinging pendulum. Every person that thinks it's awesome, we have a ton of records. There's another person that's like, you guys are lame as shit. You bought all this plastic, which is fine. You're allowed to, have your own judgment of it. Just don't tell me in my house.
How are you gonna
Save it for the
move
car like a
this?
normal person.
Yeah.
Like shit about me later. But
Like, I've got so many people that are like, "Well, when you eventually move, like, how are you gonna move all this?" I was like,
a
"I
lot
will
of time,
fucking find a way."
no, dude, I
A
moved
lot
it
of
into this
boxes.
house. I can move it out.
Yeah.
Um, but like we have a Calyx downstairs that's are full of our records. I feel very like I like this. And I like going through it, and Dana was finding records that she had never seen, like the Norma Jean one that like the hands open up from their new
Mhm.
album. And she's like, "Ooh," and I was like, "You don't like that, okay?"
No.
But like it
Right,
looks
right. Like,
cool.
that looks cool, but no.
You're not gonna like it. But there is something very comforting, and like our record collection is very important. My game, but I don't display my games. They're my games. I don't have like a game room,
Right.
which is fine. I don't really want one, but they're just in a little cabinet, and I have like a couple knickknacks out of them. But like our music's very prominent. Our DVDs are on like a bookshelf, and our Blu-rays are up in a couple drawers. And as the drawers get full, I'll take movies out that are like my movies, like Citizen Toxie stuff that can go into the basement and just be stored, and I know it's down
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Or like the movies that when we're doing the hey, you want to watch a movie, and I pull the drawers out, it's not like you're not gonna like it, you're not gonna like it. You know what I mean? Godzilla, Godzilla, Godzilla. You know.
Right.
So, but
Godzilla,
there is
French
something really,
film.
it's maybe just the generation we grew up with, like a status thing. I don't know, like of just like look how much
I
fucking
think it
shit
looks cool.
I have.
I
But
think it
yeah,
looks cool, dude.
well, like you've been
Like,
down to know.
I follow so many different YouTubers, and half the reason why I follow them is because like their thumbnail is them sitting in front of their giant
Yeah.
fucking movie collection in the
Well, I'll
background.
take
I'm
some
like,
pictures
it
of the
just
basement.
looks fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
I
like,
like,
and that's our biggest thing. Like, it sucks not going to concerts. We have tons of concert posters downstairs. We're gonna get to the point, like the pictures behind me that just hung up. We're gonna have to do that with them. We're gonna have to squeeze them together. And we just hung
yeah.
them like 2 years ago. But it's worth it to us because that's where we love it. Like that's one of the best
These
things.
are
Like,
my fucking deer heads.
yeah, yeah,
These are my
exactly.
deer heads in my freaking office.
Yeah,
Like, dude, I have this. I have the metal tin, the 20 cult classics on DVD. Like, this is like Reefer Madness,
yeah,
Cocaine Fiends. Like,
yeah,
don't go out after dark with your boyfriend. Like, scare your freaking daughters into
yeah.
submission movies. And like this, like I this shit, this like it
It's
fucking
cool.
looks cool, man.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I was
and, and
showing
they
Dave.
like these are things that I had to like go out and seek and find. And so I'm displaying
Mhm.
my trophies,
Yeah.
behind
Well,
me. And
we
plus,
have.
it's like that's not be like we got to be for real too, though.
Yeah.
And this is before we get off like on a tangent. I just want everybody to understand one thing is that I have literally been collecting movies and
Mhm.
other forms of physical media for well over 20 plus years.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
not like this is shit that like
No.
we fucking accumulated. Like, we didn't just go like rob a fucking Brinks truck and then like buy all this shit in
Yeah.
like one weekend. Like,
Well,
this
and
is
we
like a
don't.
lifetime of stuff.
Yeah.
And
And it's
coming
little.
from our
It's a
era,
little. It's
yeah.
a little bit at a time
And
because we pay our bills. We have lives. We do stuff.
right.
But you know.
And we didn't really mention that, and we didn't really mention that much like earlier on in the show, but that does go, that it's an important thing to say is like we like don't forget, like we talked about how, we came from an era where we didn't have like instant access to what we want. We also came from an era where we didn't just like get anything that we
Hmm.
wanted to get. And
Yeah,
so the things that we did get, we
we
took
took
care of.
care of. Yeah.
So like the very first handful of DVDs that I have, I still have those in pristine mint
Yeah.
condition because it was like those were very important to me. That was like my very first paychecks, like my real paychecks as an adult went into that. My very first DVD player is still operating
Oh wow.
down in the basement of
Yeah.
our
Where I still
house.
have the video game stuff. I still have the
Yes,
Nintendo,
exactly.
the
Because those
Nintendo.
were like things that were like
Yeah.
hard to obtain, and it's just not like throwaway
No.
shit. You don't just like, oh, I'll just let this get all scratched up and tossed in
No,
the
I
corner.
take
It's like,
really good
no,
care of our
we
like
so because we took
the
care of that
gaming.
stuff and we don't have anywhere for it to go,
Yeah.
it's on display. It's on display in our
Well,
in our in our areas. So
I still have. We grew up in a time where record collecting now is really easy again because it's
right.
popular.
Yes.
Like mom made these for us
Nice.
for Dana's birthday,
That's really
and
cool.
so record collecting is easier again. They're cheaper again. They're more accessible.
Hmm.
But when we started collecting in the 90s, it was the same way. No one was making new records. People were selling their old records to
Hmm.
replace with CDs. So when we were kids with $5, couple bucks, we could go buy records, make tapes,
Yeah.
or buy used tapes like Sepultura, KSAD on tape. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so that's where our record collection started. Dana always laughs. She's like, you have the majority of Led Zeppelin's like greatest era of
Right.
music for like $5. Like you
Yeah.
can't buy any of these
You
records
couldn't buy
like.
any of that shit for
And
that
she
kind of money
like one
now.
of the things that's important for her. She likes old vinyl. She's like, no, I don't want it new. I want it loved. I want previously loved vinyl that I can love now. You know,
Hmm.
that has people. We have records with people's social security numbers written on them. You know what I mean? like
Right.
like dumb people, like just like John's copy of the Who.
Right.
My address and social number. Like what the fuck?
Like, how's the
Like
social
so.
number gonna help you get this?
What's that?
How's your social number gonna help you get your record back?
I
Here's your
don't
record
know.
back, but I've got your identity
I got your whole
now.
identity now. I wonder if they're thinking that, like, let's like sit, like, wake up in the middle of the night and be like, "Hey, babe, I wrote my social security number on a Who album and sold it when I was 18. Do you think
Dude, I was just
they
telling
stole
this
my
stuff.
identity?" We with Dana's brother's really into records, which is cool. We're getting tons of music conversations, and one of the things that he'll do record store day. So they split it up this year, so they didn't have a ton of crowds, and he got us Ace of Spades single that's on a card on the spade on the card. So it's cut
Oh
out.
no shit. That's
Take a
awesome.
picture of it. We played it once and then framed it in a record frame because
Nice.
that's like I have Ace of Spades, but that's like a cool piece. That's where the physical media kind of, and you don't even need to be into physical media to do something like this. You could just be, I listen to Spotify, I love Motorhead, and I have this cool Ace of Spades. But that's what's
Right.
cool about it is like it's a cool piece now. It's a conversation piece. It's up on the wall, and when we're dead and gone, Alex or Zoe can have it, or it'll end up in some like fucking metal version of Applebee's or something. Like, you know what I mean? Someone will sell it off. But for now, we have it, and it's fucking sweet to look at. And then Dana has a single of Africa from Toto and Weezer. We listen to that, and then put that in a frame where it's just it's the continent of Africa with like this cool green leaf, behind it and stuff. So
Nice.
it's cool to kind of see that stuff and be like,
Yeah, man.
um, it's like who you are. It's like I like nice clothes, but I don't wear I wear what I like. And some people are into fashion, and you get the sense of a person
Excuse
by
me.
how they look, how they dress, how they carry themselves. And other people, like, not to stereotype, but like nerd culture, our stuff is internal. It's in our house. It's the action figures. It's DVDs, it's
Yeah.
comics, it's books, it's shit like that.
Oh yeah.
So are we done with why is it important that the
I
media
think
takes up
so.
physical space? Why is it important to continue to buy physical media in an era of it? Just it's less common, it's harder to get a hold of. Um, Things are easier. It's easy just to pop my PlayStation on and go watch some movies. You know what I mean?
It's
And
expensive.
it's expensive, and and I think this is why we wanted to take a different approach. We wanted it to come at it as like an elitist kind of thing or whatever, because it is very. I see a lot of YouTubers kind of do more shows like this because it's a very weird hobby to still, to be into. Why do I like owning video games that are old? And
Mm-hmm.
um, I had an extra mini DV case because I was messing around with some transferring of old movies, so I might try to do something with displaying some video games. But
Mm-hmm.
like, through a recommendation on a tweet, like I got picked up a copy of Monster House, for the Game Boy Advance. You know what I mean? For $5. Why am I choosing to kind of buy something on a platform that's no longer supported?
Right.
15, 20 years probably since it's been released. I mean, maybe not that long, but you know. Um, so I've been taking the lead on some of these, but so for you, I know you're kind of looking at your notes, but why
Yeah.
is it that like purchasing stuff in every year it's becoming more difficult to kind of
Mm-hmm.
purchase things? Um,
Right.
but why do you continue to support physical stuff?
Um, I got a couple of quick answers and then the eventual long answer. I continue to purchase because a there's there's always that part of me that feels like somehow, and like we said before, we're like, I'm not getting into elitism or anything like that, but like to me, and I'll stick with the movie or the music for a second, but there's part of me that feels like if I buy this album, like if I buy this vinyl or I buy this CD or whatever, that is somehow getting to the pockets of
Mm-hmm.
the artists that I like more than if I go this legit route.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really touch on this at all
Mm-hmm.
during any portion of this, but we completely understand that there is a pirate culture.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to get almost anything that you want
Yeah,
out
the
there
internet
for
exists, so
free.
everything is tangible. You
Um,
can get
I
anything.
have done that in the past for things that I couldn't find. Like it's not that I didn't want to. I'm like cheap. It's like I'm seeking out this because I just can't. Like you can't freaking buy this somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't get this somewhere. But um, that's neither here nor there.
Or something that we didn't know the name of until I shot in the dark guessed The Pit. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
So
this old
right.
ass horror movie that we couldn't find for years, and we'd talk about. Remember that one night we watched it and it came on
Right.
again, and then we're
Yes.
sitting there and we're watching Shaun of the Dead, and I'm just like, "What is it called? The Pit?" And then you looked up
Yeah.
The
I'm
Pit and you
like, I
found it.
can't be that easy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
years and just random
Right.
swag answer.
Right.
You know?
But so yeah, so there's always that part of me that believes that like if I'm buying something that whether it's true or not, I just feel like I'm, lining that thing that I
Yeah.
like's pockets. Obviously the larger portion of that is that, and this kind of goes back to the second question and the first question combined, which is I continue to buy physical media because it's fun. I
Yeah.
like tangible things.
Mhm.
I'm somebody that's attracted to
Yeah. Dude,
packaging
it's the
and
thrill
stuff
of the
like
hunt,
that.
man. It's
Um
finding it in the wild.
I like finding stuff that's already curated for me. Just today, um I bought this and I only bought this because I knew it was out there. But I couldn't find a copy on Amazon or anything else, and so I kind of just like wrote it off, and figured I'd purchase it later. And
Mhm.
then I literally went to Walmart today because we had to get groceries, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm already out at the store. I'm exposing myself to a possible freaking communicable disease here with what's going on, so I'll just sneak past the media section.
Yeah.
And like down on like this fucking lonely ass shelf near the floor, they literally had a copy of Shout Factory's the Fly
Oh no
box
shit.
set. That's like all three of
What?
the originals plus the two
Yeah.
remakes, and it was like $40. And I'm like, I got to get that. And it just because it's like the whole thing. It's like the whole thing here is all curated for me already. It's all on a nice package. It's like if I want to watch the original, boom, I can go right to it. If I want to watch freaking, Brundlefly do his thing in the remake, I can watch it. So, but yeah, I like having this shit. I showed it to you a minute ago, and I promise this isn't going to be a whole thing of show and tell, but like, come on, dude, this big ass
that
like
Gamera
Gamera fucking set, like, come on, dude,
beautiful.
like this freaking thing is awesome. I like having that, but besides just being able to sit back and like my precious and be surrounded by my things, the most important thing is I now have, and we're gonna put the quick disclaimer out there right now. We understand the whole like rights versus owning, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We're not getting into that. I understand that like this stuff is subject to degrading over time. We could have a freaking natural catastrophe or whatever, and I could do that. That goes without being said. I like the fact that, like, going back to that fly thing a minute ago, any fucking time I want till the end of time, I have access to these movies now.
Yeah.
If one of my buddies is like, "Oh my god, dude, have you ever seen me? Like, I know you like the Fly, but have you ever seen like the original Fly?" I can be like, "Hell yeah, dude, let's go pop it in and watch it." I don't have to go and look on Netflix or Amazon, and that's why I was distracted a minute ago because I just bought The Shining in 4K earlier today, and it has nothing to do with whether the fact it's 4K or regular DVD or fucking VHS for that matter. I don't care. It could be like media types do not apply here. But I was going through and just doing a quick search or whatever, and I proved my own point, which is I wanted to watch The Shining. I know I have The Shining. It was available for a really good deal on 4K, and I want to try out my 4K my 4K TV. So I'm like, I'm going to get that. But my point is that when I was driving today, I was in the car, and there's a new XM channel for the holidays. It's an actual Halloween one, and they literally were playing a part of the Shining score on this Halloween channel, and I was like, oh shit, that's what I'm watching tonight for 31 Days of Horror. I'm watching The Shining, and if I didn't own it, I would have to like rent it through, like actually pay money to rent it through like Amazon Prime. And that's always the thing too I go back to is that, like, yes, people can make the argument that like, well, like for $3.99 you can, like, you can't say you can't get it because you can technically get it for like $4 on Amazon Prime. But I base this off of like a majority of the people that I'm around and most people that I interact with, like guys at work and stuff like that. If it's not on Prime, like Prime Video, like for free because you have Prime, they're not gonna pay the $4 to rent the movie.
I don't rent shit off that.
I consider The Shining not being available because I have to pay to rent it.
Yeah,
but I don't because I own it.
Yeah,
in like 3 different versions. So that's just like, that's more part of my like long blown up answer of why it's important for me to actually have physical media. And then, not to take any of your thunder, but one more piece I'll add is there's also that element of, and we talked about this earlier in the podcast, of there's always these different entities that own this stuff, and you never know when properties are going to change hand and stuff like that. And they just announced a couple days ago that the entire Peanuts collection, so your Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown, your Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, all that stuff that we grew up our whole lives watching on like that old TV that only had 4 or 5 channels, now belongs to Apple, and Apple is not like, it's not going to be on the regular airwaves.
They're taking their controllers and they're going home.
Yep.
It's like when we saw that, it's like, okay, it is what it is. But I mean, there is something there's something about watching those movies still on television
Yes.
for our generation and people younger than us, because it's been, I mean, decades it was that they'd done it, because we would still set them up. We own The Great Pumpkin. We own um, Charlie Brown Christmas.
Mhm.
Or and then we have the sequel one with where reruns like the main character.
Right.
It's the one
Yeah.
that's don't watch it. And then we have Costco was doing these collections, and I should have just it was one of those like being a miser about it. Like it's $12, I'll just buy one. I'll get the other one later. And like Costco, when you see it, get it. It's never back.
Yeah.
So they had these collections that were like the 60s and 70s or 50s, 60s, 70s or 60s and 70s or whatever. Well, we
Mhm.
bought the one that we had the most. So I had the Thanksgiving special and like the voting one and stuff like that. So it had some other versions on there, but we would put them in if we wanted to watch them specifically
Mhm.
again, or if we missed watching them on TV, because there was something cool about recording. We'd always miss Great Pumpkin for some reason.
And dude, it's just
But
fun.
it's
It's
just
like
cool. Yeah.
fun when like all of a sudden like randomly out of the blue on like, December 13th or whatever, it's like coming up next, The Grinch Stole Christmas. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, we
Like
still
I've got fucking like two different copies of that cartoon on physical media, but
yeah.
it's neat when you see it on TV.
We started to do more Christmas movies each year. We actually have it's our card box from our wedding. It looks like a treasure chest. And then I put
Mhm.
just holiday movies. So it has The Great Pumpkin starts it. And I think the only holiday movie that isn't really in it is like I think The Ref and there's a couple other there's I think no Ref I think is in it. I think Nightmare Before Christmas isn't in there because
Okay.
like
Yeah.
that's a good movie. And not they're all good movies, but it's like there's a couple that aren't. But I might even put it in there. But it's literally just a cool treasure chest. I want to put some wrapping paper on it, and it comes up with our Christmas stuff every year, and it's all of our holiday movies. And
Dude,
we
that's
try
so
to add a
funny you
new
said
one
that. I
every
just did this year. I'm like, we didn't even talk to each other.
year.
And I did that this year to Amber. I was like, hey, don't you think it's kind of a good idea to put all of our like holiday movies with our holiday decorations? Because it's the
Yeah,
only time of the year we watch that
yeah,
shit.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
awesome.
so we have, and every year we try to buy a new one. Like so, White Christmas. Our friends kept recommending White Christmas. It's a really good movie.
Mhm.
It's a musical. They kept recommending it, and we watched it. Oh, it's such a great. And then you realize, like, oh, my friends have been quoting this movie to me. So
Yeah.
oh, boy, girl, oh, comfy. Like it's like when we went out to dinner like, after a comic convention, stuff like that. And my friend Brad's like, you didn't get out. I was like, no, I never saw it. So, so we got like White
Well, you
Christmas.
should
We
see
get
that
like
influence now with horror movies. Now that you've seen Halloween,
no.
like there's gonna be like a lot of shit you're gonna pick up on other horror movies. On you're gonna be like, damn, they
Well, it's
stole
weird.
that shit right from Halloween.
Well, it's weird because with Halloween and stuff, it's like 007. I've never seen a Bond movie, but it's so
Mhm.
saturated in the pop culture. I know a lot about it. It's like I need
Yes.
Michael Myers mask was a Captain Kirk mask, just
Mhm.
modified,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but jumping into my stuff, like why I like physical is for video games, I love finding random weird games like this Monster House. Someone recommended it. Like it's like a Zelda game. My favorite game styles are like Castlevania, Zeldas, Metroids. Those adventure, exploring, upgrading, moving, growing the world. Um, so just to hear like, oh, there's one that came out years ago. I never played it. I can get it for $5 now.
Right.
And kind of curating these like older experiences. Like so, I love classic like old school games. Um, on the music front, any way you can support a band, whether it's streaming or buying physical, you should. Don't steal your stuff. Support them because even if you're just streaming, they're still getting paid in some way, you
Yeah.
know. But we go to a lot of shows and we have the
To be
disposable.
totally honest, the number one way, and we talked about this before, and I didn't mean to cut you off,
Mhm,
but we talked about this before. The number one way, which it blew my mind to find this out, to support a band is to fucking physically show up
mhm.
at a performance and
Buy
buy
merch.
merch
Yep,
from
it
them.
goes right
That
to
is
them.
like, yeah, that
Yep.
is like the number one thing that goes right into their pockets.
Yeah, so
They
we
don't make
always
very much money off of the sale of tickets to concerts, and we just talked about like the the big media conglomerate, whatever, they obviously don't make like huge amounts of money
They
off
make
of the actual
fractions. Yeah.
record sales,
Yeah.
and they don't make hardly anything off of the streaming, but
Mm-hmm.
at least it's something. But yeah, I mean, it's all like a one hand shakes the other. So it's like a huge record deal and record sales
Mm-hmm.
is going to sell tickets
Yeah.
to shows, and the shows are going
Yeah.
to make you your money.
Buy
So
anything, patches, koozies,
right,
t-shirts. And we
dude,
buy
I
we buy
oh
posters
my,
because
it's fucking
that,
ridiculous the amount of money I spend
that
at fucking
Slayer
concerts.
concerts. Yeah.
Oh
But I
god.
love it because it's like we get these, like I love shirts, like we got some band shirts, but it's like shirts you grow out of, you stain them, you get pits,
Mhm.
like deodorant stains.
No, dude, I started
Or
following your suit on the
you know,
poster thing a long time ago because
if
like posters are forever.
yeah, and if like you're a young person, you're gonna get into a relationship and someone's gonna steal your favorite band shirt. It's
Hmm.
going to happen, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, someone you're
And then
dating
they're
is
gonna
going,
break up.
yeah, they're gonna steal your shit. So but like me and my wife get a lot of posters, and it was something really cool. So we went and saw the Arcs in back in like 2014, and they had to open for them. They had an all female mariachi band, and it was they
Nice.
fucking killed it. They were awesome, and it was like we're gonna go buy their album after the show, no matter what. And there was these young girls waiting in line to get an autograph and get a picture with them. So we waited because we're adults. We're like not gonna like be like, you know, because you get some people that are like grown ass like adults that act like assholes at concerts. And so, and we're just me and Dana just watching them, like enjoying like how we felt being a young person meeting a cool band, you know. And
Mhm.
these girls bought CDs, had them signed, got pictures with them, and then we got our, signed. And like Dana talked to them for a second, and I, took a picture, and it was really cool, like watching them. They're probably don't own that many CDs, you know what I mean?
Right.
But they're gonna always have this disc with a signature and remember like seeing this badass band play, you know. And I thought that was really cool, and I think that's like it's awesome going to shows and making it an event. You know what I mean? Like buy the
Right.
ticket. You know, even like we went and saw Bad Religion and just bought some patches because I've been in like a little patch kick, you know, and just like, you know what, this is an extra $10 or $15 that went to the band, like right to them, you know.
Nice.
And it's something cool, like being a person that goes like, I do comic shows and sell stuff. There's something really cool about selling something. People still want physical things still. You know,
Yeah.
comicology exists. You can get digital comics, but I learned it real quick that at shows, just selling sketches and stuff like that, people would be like, "Well, where's your book?" I'm like, "Well, it's online for free." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then they'd walk away. Or it's like, no, they
Right.
wanted a book. They wanted something, you know. And then we made books. And the next year, they didn't want books anymore. They wanted posters.
Right.
There's always seemed to be like a trend. But the biggest reason why, so it's like music, supporting the bands, uh, um, video games, just curating like cool, being a historian of like old games and stuff like that, and sharing, experiences with them. But for me with movies, why I don't want it to become just streaming services, because there's going to be popular things that like ripple through the zeitgeist of our culture, like Tiger King, and it's going to blow up everywhere. And me and Dana were like, we're not going to fucking watch that. It looks like stupid. But regardless of our feelings on it, it was everywhere. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But when we're only going to have, this is my feeling personally, if we're only going to have like a few streaming services streaming, movies and televisions, we're going to end up with Disney. What I miscounted them as Disney, Amazon, Netflix. That's the three. Apple.
Disney. Yeah. Disney, Amazon, Netflix, Hulu.
But Hulu and ESPN are with Disney.
Oh yeah. 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 So you can get them bundled. So yeah, those would
So there's
be like
probably
the
like
major
four or
ones.
five. You're gonna
Right.
get some people condensing. I mean, YouTube's out of the game pretty much. They don't
You
make
can get
content.
Shutter.
You can Shutter. Yeah, you get the horror one.
Shutter's
That's sweet.
Shutter's fucking dope. I've got that.
Yeah. So you're gonna have like some smaller ones. But I think the thing is though, is I think that this is going to be like the death of like the true meaning of a cult movie.
Mhm.
Because like think of a DVD or Blu-ray as like open source.
Right.
You can anyone can watch it, anyone can get a handle on it or hang of it and put it and play it. And we're of the age of seeing Boondock Saints on VHS when it was like word of mouth before Hot Topic put it on T-shirts. you know
Right.
Like, I
Right.
remember going to Blockbuster to buy their V8 when they're selling off their VHSs for
Hmm.
DVDs. You
Yeah.
couldn't get that movie on DVD. My friend has a copy. I told him never sell it, and if he does sell it to me, it's the European version because he had a DVD player that could play. What
Oh,
was it?
region free.
Region free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's because it's European, and they're like, "What's this fucking American movie? Like, who's the star of this?" Well, Willem Dafoe's in it, so it's Willem Dafoe is like the main character in the front of the movie, and then
Oh my god,
the two
dude.
brothers are in the like tiny in the corner, like shooting. So it's crazy, like, and I remember passing that around, like, this movie never became a big cult classic movie, but I'm gonna brag about it now. The Baytown Outlaws. That was kind of like the
Oh yeah.
2010s. I forget if it was 2010 it came out, 2011, whatever. Like
Did
the
I introduce that to you?
yeah, like so
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
that was kind of like that same vibe of that movie, but you could share it with people and it wasn't on a stream.
Yeah.
It wasn't locked into a streaming service.
Right.
So I think when things get like, you're always going to have a Tiger King. You're always going to have uh, Marvelous Miss Maisel, where it's going to blow up and it's going to seem really huge, but it's just really huge in the group that's watching it. You
Hmm.
know, like how many people jumped onto Amazon to watch The Boys too? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
did they really get a big bump, or is it just catering to the people, like keeping the people they already have?
Yeah.
You know, like we might get Disney Plus, we probably won't. You know what I mean? Just
Hmm.
because of like, it's one of those things of like, do I want to support something that's going to just continually gobble up stuff and take things away?
Right.
You know,
But
and
that's why. But that's why I continue to because it's not just about like
yeah,
that control going into it. It's like when I see something, right? So I see something that piques my interest, or I already know it's something I want.
mhm,
The reason why I acquire that is because you have no idea when that can go away. I
yeah,
remember back years ago, like mid 2000s, I was kind of new on the fire department. I was known as like the weird one that brought in like the crazy movies.
mhm.
And one of the guys I worked with, he brought in a movie called Julian Donkey Boy. It is from the same guy that made the movie Kids. So he
Oh
made
yeah,
like Kids and then Gummo,
Gummo,
and then he
yeah,
made Julian Donkey Boy, which is like this fucking acid trip fever dream of a movie through someone with like schizophrenia.
mhm,
And it is fantastic. It checks all the weird boxes
mhm,
in my brain or whatever. Here's the point. I could have owned that for practically nothing 10 years ago, whatever, and like never picked it up.
yeah,
It's not even a matter now of, oh, well, I can rent it. Like it is virtually, I don't want to say impossible, but like virtually impossible to get a hold of. Like a physical copy of it on like DVD is like prohibitively expensive. We're talking
yeah.
like $80 to $100 to get.
Because it got probably a simple
It's
release.
not on any streaming service
Yeah,
for rent or for streaming. So
mhm,
it's one of those things that's like, yeah, back then when that movie had like just came out and they didn't know,
mhm,
like, hey, this is the guy that made Kids. Is this going to be a good movie or not?
yeah,
Like, we never knew back then. I didn't buy a copy of it. I watched it at work and was like, holy fuck, dude, I got to go back to Michigan and show my brother. But you know what I mean? Like, and then now, like, I'm like going back through my Rolodex in my brain, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go back and I'm gonna hit that like kids trilogy. Like I
mhm,
like say what you want about Gummo, it was a fucked up movie, but like I want to watch those weird, crazy movies from back then. And I'm like, nope, can't watch Julian Donkey Boy because I don't own it,
yeah,
and I'm not spending 80 fucking bucks for a DVD
yeah.
because that's always been my luck. I'll do that, and then one of these like boutique labels will like come out with like
With it,
a fucking awesome like
and I think that like, and it's not even weird movies that kind of fit in that category. Like, I know it's kind of contentious now just because of like it's always like the wrong people like the stuff that we end up liking. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's like Fight Club is a cult classic movie that didn't get popular until after it left theaters.
Oh yeah, dude.
Um, uh,
It took a
but
while
it's
for that one to.
yeah, and it's not just like horror movies or Boondock Saints or stuff like that. Austin Powers, the first movie, is a cult movie because
Mhm.
it bombed in theaters, but DVDs were cheap, and the few like us, the people that went, on a Wednesday night after cross country practice and
And
wanted
that's
to
so
see
true.
a goofy
Physical
movie, and
media
then we
DVDs have like
saw it.
resurrected so many freaking movies. Sorry, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and then so,
Yep.
like, and now you can say that there's been a lot of that with streaming, like, Wet Hot American Summer got a TV show
Hmm.
that was only streaming, so there has been some, like, revivals. There's been some
Right.
good things that have, like,
But
Cobra
there's only
Kai,
so much
that
they can do.
but there's only so much they can
If
do, yeah,
Netflix comes out with a Netflix original
yeah,
and it doesn't pick up or do good,
mhm,
where's where's the counterpart to that that resurrects it?
yeah,
Where's the fucking DVD or Blu-ray or
yeah,
whatever of that movie that was supposed to be niche and
mhm,
like popular? What resurrects that down the road?
yeah,
It's like there's going to be, films and things lost to time
mhm,
because they tried it on fucking Amazon or they tried it on Netflix and
it'll
it
work, yeah.
didn't do good.
Well, I
And
mean,
so now it's like,
Family Guy. Family Guy was literally like when I got into it, it was like, "Hey, you
wasn't
remember
it
that show?"
like only did like 4 or 5 seasons? Like they
No,
only did like three
it did a
seasons or something
half.
like that.
It like the first 2 seasons are on, like, one collection.
That's right. You can get
Yeah,
season one, and then it's
2.
like season two, three on another one, and that's it.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was,
all
like,
they had.
college
And then
era
DVD literally
made that happen.
kick-started that fucking
Yeah, and mate, you
show
might be able to
into.
have that still, but I think it's, like, it's gonna get that it's gonna get smaller. It's gonna get
Yeah.
smaller, it's gonna get smaller, and it's like that's why I was like, "Oh, I feel," and people are still gonna use that term. That term's not gonna go away. Everyone's just gonna throw around, "Oh, it's a cult classic," or "It's a cult following film," blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. But I think, like, the actual homegrown, "Oh, I remember seeing that with some friends, and we had it on a Blu-ray and passed it around," or, "I remember, like, a friend had all the Family Guys on something," or,
Yeah.
just, like, that weird, like, we own a bunch of DVDs that, like, early movies from directors, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're never gonna find, like, I'm never gonna be able to find probably a DVD of Taillights Fading, you know what I mean? Where it's, like,
Mhm.
Kevin Smith helping a young director do a movie, and Jason Mewes is in the final scene of it. It's like it's a movie about a girl's brother dies, and she like tricks her boyfriend and his friend to drive her cross country to clear out her brother's like weed stash. He's got a grow house and a storage unit. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's got like young actors in the early 2000s, but it doesn't exist anywhere. You know what I mean? And
Right.
there's nothing to pass around to like get the voice. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But
I
I
know,
feel,
but don't you think though, like I'm not. It's not going to be, I guess, enough for our appeasement.
mhm,
But I, there's always like, as much as I'm like, I collect physical media because I want control and stuff like that. There's also a part of me that's like, isn't this always going to be kind of a thing though? Like as
yeah,
much as there are, you know, like for as popular as streaming gets, people are still going to want to own physical copies.
yeah. Well,
For as much as there's digital photos and stuff like that, there's still people that go
I
out
mean,
and
we
buy
own,
fucking
yeah,
Polaroid cameras.
yeah,
For the thousands of recipes you can find on the internet
mhm,
for
but having like a
whatever
cookbook.
particular dish, there's still people that collect
Yeah.
cookbooks.
Well, I mean, streaming has definitely made it so I don't collect as many movies, but I collect the
Right.
weird niche. Like
Yeah.
my lane is narrowed, but we still
Oh
talk.
yeah, dude, and you're totally right too
Yeah.
because like I'm one that like I mean fucking take a look around me. I mean I'm definitely the freaking movie
Mhm.
king, but at the end of the day, like I can have it on physical media, and if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, I want to watch Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Is Tommy Boy on Netflix? Oh, okay, yep, it
Yeah.
is. I'm not gonna go crawl around through my shit and
Yeah.
pick out.
Well, there's plenty
So
of
there
times
is
I've
the
watched.
convenience. There is
Yeah.
the convenience aspect of it,
Yeah. Well,
and also we're talking about like it's easy for me to sit here as somebody that has like a certain amount of disposable income.
mhm.
I'm lucky enough to live in a you know halfway decent sized house and stuff like that, so I have like an extra room
Yeah.
that I can
Yeah.
house
Most people don't.
shit.
Like we don't have a
But
ton of
a
space
lot of
in our
people
house.
don't
So
have, and it's also like just a time thing, like you know a lot of younger age kids, they like we just went back to the I want it now thing,
yeah.
and then that's what it is. It's like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I want to watch that movie my dad was talking about the other night. Oh yeah, it's not on Netflix. No,
Yeah,
they're already moving on.
yeah.
So when I look around at my movies and stuff like that, and that's another question to ask, is I'm like, how much of this shit is new versus how much of it is already been done or is old? And I would think that I'm like probably 80-20 on,
New result.
my shit is fucking like already been out for a long time,
Hmm.
and then 20% new versus the other way around.
Okay.
And the reason why is because there is that thing of me where I'm like, well, yeah, I can get this movie on Netflix. I can get this movie on
Yeah.
Amazon. So I don't need to make that a priority now. But when the Fly box set comes out, I'm pouncing on that
Hmm.
because I don't know, like that could be
Yeah.
available
Well, I
for
mean, it was.
4 or 5 months and then be
Oh yeah.
like completely out of print again.
Well, when we knew that Disney was starting their own streaming service early on, like everybody knew that they were eventually like, just with the whole fact of the shows kind of going defunct on
Right.
Netflix.
20th Century Fox too, by the way.
Yeah.
Fly
And
owned by Disney.
so yeah, he's Disney Prince. Um, so
Sorry, I
wow.
didn't.
No, but we knew that it was coming for a while, so it was important to us to get the movies like the Star Wars and
Mhm.
the Marvel movies when we could because we knew that eventually they're going to be under you know the paywall of Disney.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think too, it's just weird that I think it's every year it's going to be a little bit less. Some people are just didn't skip physical, but we're never gonna. It sucks. We're never gonna go back to a store that's just dedicated to physical media ever again.
Right.
It's just
Like
is
your FY. I mean, yeah, there's still FYEs, but yeah, like yeah,
yeah.
I get what you
Shit,
mean. Like,
they're half pop vinyls. You know what I mean?
right.
They're toys or knickknacks. They're Spencer gifts with a DVD and a CD aisle.
Like
You know?
it makes me sick to my stomach every time I go into a Best Buy and I think of like us going into that Best Buy by your place and it like was like aisle, and like I
Mhm.
walked over to one aisle and like handed you a movie over that aisle, and then like somebody came up and
Hey, what's up?
was all freaking like basically frisking you down
Yeah.
because they thought you stole something because I handed you something like that, and I'm
That
like,
old lady, like,
that used to literally be like 8 aisles
yeah,
of a store
yeah. You
was
just
nothing
walk
but
through.
fucking movies.
Mhm.
And now I go into a Best Buy and like I have more
Yeah,
product
you got
in
to
my
walk through
office
washers and cell phones.
than your typical
Yeah,
Best Buy store.
yeah. And I think that's
It's
where it's like I get that whole idea of like
nuts.
it's not that far off. It's been 10 years, so like one of the Best Buys, the Best Buy in Pontiac closed. You know,
Mhm.
and me and Dana will be married for 10 years in 2001 or 2001 in 2021. And it wasn't that long ago that you could go in and aisles and aisles of DVDs, CDs, and stuff were available. So I don't know. I feel like there eventually will be a day where just it just takes one company to just be, I'm done, we're done.
But it's part of it though now. Like I feel like the same thing that I'm bitching about
Yeah,
is still part of the
feeds the
reason why I
drug
do
of
it,
doing
because
it.
I'm like, dude, it's fucking awesome. It was a freaking rush to go into Walmart and find this Fly,
Yeah,
Scream Factory, fucking Scream Factory
yeah,
box set. Like I didn't go in there looking for that.
yeah.
I didn't go in there going, the new Fly comes out.
Do you
Like that
think
that's
that
been out, and
Do you
I
think that it'll
just
switch the other way, like how vinyl has resurrected in like a
I
big
think
way?
everything does, man. I
Do you
think
think kids
everything
will,
does.
young people
I
will like
There's like half
get
of
back
me
into
is
it?
like the old man screaming, "Get off my lawn!"
Yeah,
But then the other half of me is like, this is just like the you know like constant ebb and flow things, and it's the reason why I see these stupid, sorry, I don't need to be disparage anybody's daughter or anybody, but these dumbass fucking little girls walking around now all of a sudden with like these Slayer t-shirts and fucking shit, and I'm like, don't fucking listen to that. You have
yeah,
no idea. But they're bringing it back,
yeah,
and it's being resurrected. And it's the same thing with this. It's like, vinyl saw a resurrection, dude. There is like groups upon groups. Like there are a ton of people out there that are trying to keep VHS alive,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like there's like I've got 3 different documentaries on VHS collectors. I mean,
Wow.
I own on DVD documentaries about VHS collectors,
Mhm.
because they're out there. So I don't know. I mean,
I mean, and there is
it
good
is
things.
what it is,
Yeah.
and I mean, if it gets to the point like with our poor parents, where eventually fucking like 8 tracks ended, then it is what it is, and it was a good run. But I
Yeah.
like don't see this shit going anywhere.
And I was big against, like, digital video games for a while. Not again, like, I wasn't, like, railing against it, but, like, I liked physical games. But now I'm the opposite, where if it's a small independent game, I love just downloading it, helping that
Right.
studio out, and then, like, Streets of Rage 4, like, I got to download it the day it came out, loved it. The physical version is accessible, I can get it, but I just haven't bought it, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, "No, I
Yeah.
got it, I had my fun." And there's the other side of that coin too, is there's a lot of, short run video games that are very expensive, where you're like, why does it have to be like,
Yeah.
I don't want to spend $60, like, or I don't want to like have to get into a queue online, and like if I don't get it, just be screwed.
Yeah.
So it's just
Well,
like,
going back,
I don't know,
yeah, going back to the
give and take.
movie theme too, though. Like, just real quick, there's one more like point I wanted to make is that if they put if you put an emphasis on like the extras, so like if you're somebody that wants to
Mhm.
hear commentaries and stuff like that, then that's something that is a selling point for the physical media. But here's the thing is, with everything that just happened
Mhm.
in this year,
Yeah.
we are on we are in very dangerous territories where like motion picture studios,
Mhm.
movie theaters, stuff like that are on, they're either already shuttered
Yeah.
or they're on life support.
I mean, we
So how do
supported.
you gain,
Yeah.
like how do you get people into your shit?
Yeah.
And part of that might be offering up something that's tangible.
Yeah.
Like before, the drive of going to like the movie theater and stuff like that is because it was like, yeah, you had like the experience, you had the smell of the popcorn, and you got your soda and your whatever, and you went and saw, and you had the big screen and the sound and everything. But if the fucking movie theaters are shuttered and all that, it's like, how else? Well, then fucking give kids, awesome packaging and extras to go with that movie. You're not just like when you pop a movie on Netflix, you're just getting the fucking movie. You're not getting, and I don't want to turn this into, because we promised we're going to turn this into a like one was better than the other, but that's just my view. Like, you're not getting anything extra out of, when I go and get Evil Dead in this, I'm like, I got a tangible thing that looks cool as fuck in my movie collection, and it's got like essays and stuff inside, and the disc I could put in, and awesome sound and everything. Like, I'm getting something tangible. I'm getting documentaries and special, different special features and commentaries and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. Maybe
Yeah.
physical media, like, every time something dies, something else has to
So yeah,
grow
that's one of the
because
things
of
that
it.
we've been kind of, yeah.
So maybe with like the unfortunate circumstance of the movie houses,
Hmm.
declining and stuff like that, maybe physical media will grow again because people will start putting more emphasis on like,
Well, like,
hey,
would
I
we?
do want to get that fucking cool ass
Yeah.
box set that looks awesome or
Mm.
whatever.
I know I was trying to find a good physical thing of the Bill and Ted soundtrack, and then like if that movie comes out physical, I'm totally gonna get that. We
Oh yeah,
rented that, but we did the Save Our
I'm gonna get
Stages
you that.
donation. That was a big concert that they
Nice.
played,
Yeah.
so we got a poster from that because that's big, like, and very important to us. Like,
Yeah.
we missed concerts. We go to concerts, a lot, or we used to go to concerts a lot. And like a lot of our early podcasting, when it was just audio, was just us talking about going to
Talk
concerts.
about concerts. Yeah.
So if you guys want that, let us know. We got it. Um, this doesn't make
Yeah.
for good YouTube to just hear us talk.
Right.
Um,
It's still fun though, man. That was a good
but
episode.
they'll eventually be released. Um, yeah, I think that you're right. Like everything has an ebb and flow. Records, we got into records during their death because they were cheap, and it wasn't weird to us to buy records. And
Mhm.
then I'd buy maybe like one or two every couple years. And Death Wish, this small independent like hardcore label from Jay Bannon, the singer of Converge. That's what got me back into records because I would buy like the digital version of a 7-inch release and get the 7-inch. You know what I mean? So I'd get a
Yeah.
record with the downloads. So then I started to having like this little like hardcore 7-inch like section, and then get some other records from them. And then when me and Dana moved in, it was like our hobby. It was tracking down records. Let's do this. And
Yeah.
then it's building up in the zeitgeist of culture of other people kind of in the same way in their early 30s, early 40s, being like, hey, I want to listen to Beastie Boys on vinyl, or discovering like the band I like, they released an album that was in the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't on vinyl because it was the switch to CD. So now
Mhm.
you were getting a new of an old album, they remastered it and stuff.
Right.
But maybe you're right. Maybe there's going to be like a a way to save theaters, a way to save motion pictures is you're going to get an event packaged thing. You're not
Yeah.
just going to get a stream of a movie. You can buy something that has all this cool little knickknack. And dude, people love it. Like I love it. I love getting like fucking toys and shit things and like stuff
Well,
you
that's
don't
my
need.
thing. It's like
Kickstarter
and that's
stuff,
why,
like
yeah, that's
yeah,
why I don't think that like fucking physical media will ever truly 100% die, because I'm
yeah,
like, I think of things like, downtown, or not downtown, like Mackinac Island,
yeah,
Brown County, where I'm at, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Why the fuck do those places thrive? Because they're like the t-shirt knickknack, fucking capitals of that area.
yeah,
People love that shit. And
yeah.
so, when you're, if you know if God forbid, and I don't even want to think about this, like it makes me want to cry, but like if God forbid, like it's nearly impossible to go to a regular movie theater
Mhm.
in the future, like it is now going to a drive-in theater. I mean, fuck, how many drive-in theaters are
Well,
there? Not
yeah,
many.
drive-ins were like a big thing for a little bit.
I think drive-ins are actually going to come back,
Yeah, I think giving
because
people, yeah, because this is
because
this isn't going to be over once a vaccine. It's going to take a while.
no.
Yeah,
So how do you get people back in drive-in? They had a drive-in concert
yeah,
at, but that's neither there. The point I'm trying to make is that, if going to the movies isn't an option,
hmm,
I think physical media is kind of the key. Like
yeah. And I think
you
someone
said,
with a
like a hand in hand. Like, okay, yeah, you can have access to this, like early access or whatever. And I know a lot of whatever, like the streaming is trying to fight the physical media right now by doing that. Like, there's a handful of things that have come out in the last couple months where it's like you've got access to it.
yeah,
What's that? 25th?
it's
Yeah.
early
So yeah, you
access.
got
Yeah,
you got access to it to on the 21st of October, streaming or whatever, and then yeah, you can buy it on physical like
yeah. Well,
November
it's like, and
14th.
my biggest thing is maybe more or less like, yeah, I don't think physical is ever going to go away. Like this bleak future. It's just that whole idea of like everything just gets consolidated more and more each
Mhm.
year. I mean, everyone who had a Google Play account with music on it just got shuffled over to YouTube because Google was like, "I'm out." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like everything that Google does, if it doesn't take off, if Google doesn't Google it, you know what I mean? Like blow it up and like have it become like the main thing, they're done. You know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
like, if you're gonna go sell your, Xbox and PlayStation 4 and just do Strata or whatever that shit's called, like, you know,
Oh yeah.
that's probably not going to last. You know what I mean? They don't stick around with shit. Or you get a
No.
company like Disney that's just going to be too giant to sustain itself culturally with certain things. You think Disney's going to look at Alien and be like, yeah, we're going to re-release this again to this dwindling fan base, or are we going to put that money
Right.
into the next Star Wars?
And that's why I don't think that physical meat, like that's why I think that these boutique labels and
Yeah,
stuff like that are going to continue to thrive, because Disney, just going back to that for an example, Disney may not sit back and go, yeah, like we think it's viable to all of a sudden try to like resurrect the
Mhm.
Alien franchise or something like that.
Yeah.
But Vinegar Syndrome or Screen Factory or one of these other companies can come in and say to Disney like, hey, and these are always short-term licenses. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing with the like. That's the only reason why I bought that Friday the 13th thing,
Mhm.
because I'm like, if I don't buy that fucker now, it ain't gonna be available in a few months, because it's not like they didn't buy the prints from
Yeah.
these movies from
No.
these people, and now they just have like fucking they can just run Ruckshaw over however many copies they want to make. Like, this is only a short-lived license, so it's the same thing with Disney. They can
Mhm.
come in and be like, hey, Disney, we'll give you whatever X amount of money for the rights to these. We're going to put these special features out, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
whatever, and everything, and we're going to limit it to 10,000 pressings, and then once that's over with, everything reverts back to you. Disney's going to be like, sweet.
Wait, we own
That's
that?
that's
How do
like
you know?
that's
Oh,
like 400 grand back in whatever, you know what I
yeah,
mean. I don't know, I'm not in that part of this. I can't,
yeah,
you know what I mean, like, yeah, Disney's gonna look at it as like, sweet, we just got like
yeah.
500K
And now you're
with
taking on the
virtually no work
yeah.
for them to put out a couple of fucking discs
Mhm.
that are gonna fade into obscurity because they were only like limited to
Yeah.
10,000 printings, and then revert back to, and then the license is going to revert back to Disney. They can do whatever the fuck they want to it. They
Mhm.
can make a musical out of it. They can put it on T-shirts. They can make a
Yeah.
ride in their park. The
Yeah.
alien fucking ride. Whatever. Like that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
If it's something that's popular and gonna make money for them, they're gonna be all in. If it's something that's not, if it's
Mhm.
not something they feel like they can, it's gonna go. It's gonna be locked away in the obscurity. And so
Yeah.
that's why, to me,
Oh, there's probably just a whole
going
department of
back,
people that just, what's the viability of this property?
right?
You know what I mean? Like, there was a guy in Jeopardy that literally his job is to, like, cultivate comics books and stuff and figure out if is this worth making into a movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, that's a fucking awesome job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To be like,
Yep.
are we gonna license this obscure work of fiction that just came out that,
Yep.
like, get it in on the ground floor? So is there anything, speaking of physical media, anything new that you're on the market for? Anything that you're looking to get, or are you pretty much just as you see it?
I'm I'm it's as I see it, I'm not seeking anything out.
Mhm.
Um if I go to certain places, I don't really look at shit at Meyer. Meyer has kind of
Dude, they used to be that working
they've
late
kind of
nights,
fallen
man.
off. Yeah, they've kind of fallen off. They still have like a lot of options, but
Mhm.
it's just they have like what's currently come out, and then just I don't even know how to describe it. And it's not really like a good price. Like
Yeah.
like they just have like they have one aisle in the electronics section
Aw.
that's dedicated to
Dude, the one in Troy used to,
their,
like, kick ass.
yeah, their shit. So like I'll take a glance as I walk by and see if anything pops up, but nothing. So I don't seek that out.
Yeah.
Um I still to this day on Tuesdays I go to Best Buy because
Okay.
that's new.
It's
That's
Super
new media
Tuesday.
released. Yep, yep.
Super Tuesday.
And see if like anything crazy's popped. And then every once in a while, like I said, if I got to go grocery shopping at my or Walmart, I'll
Uh-huh.
walk, because Walmart is weird, man. Walmart is one of those places like you'll go there and you'll look at their movie section and you'll be like, oh, okay, like whatever. And then like other times you'll go there and you'll like be like, they have the entire Saved by the Bell fucking television series for 24.99.
That's awesome.
Okay, I just
Alright.
bought,
Ding,
whatever.
ding.
Like there's just like no rhyme or reason to like what they get in sometimes and like
Mhm.
how they get it. But yeah, no, I've got nothing. Uh I follow a handful of and if you follow the Scattercast Instagram page, you'll see me tag these places. I follow certain boutique labels and stuff like that and get things, but right now I'm kind of in the pre-Christmas holding pattern.
Yeah.
Not spending any money,
Um,
trying not to spend any money, putting stuff on my Christmas list to
like,
see what
I'll pick up, like,
happens.
I'll pick up like the Magic cards and stuff that we talked
Yeah,
about,
I do got one
and
there I'm gonna
like
show off in a minute.
little game here and there. But like, yeah, Deftones has a new album. Idols have a new album. Like Deftones, my favorite band of all time. I haven't picked it up, but it's like, you know what? It just right now with everything going on, it's like it's stuff I don't really need, or if it's not like underneath a certain like
Right.
couple buck threshold. Like we've been kind of tailoring our spending a little bit, and I have enough stuff. You know, I have a
Oh god,
pretty sizable backlog of video games, um,
I'm looking at
and I'm
like
saving
a
stuff for
handful of things in
Christmas.
front of me,
Yeah.
like in front of me. We're not talking about this big wall of shit behind me. I'm looking at like a handful of things in front of me that would be like months of content I could
Oh yeah.
deal with.
I mean, I
Yeah,
have a lot, but I mean, there's a couple things, and nothing major, just a couple albums.
nice.
I saw this like D&D box set called Young Adventurers Collection that looked kind of interesting, and
Ooh,
I don't know, just some random. Oh, I want to get the Batman metal collection. That looks fucking. How did I miss that? That looks really good.
looks yeah. It was. I saw some copies in the store,
Yeah,
but is
the
it
Wonder
like?
Woman
Do they
metal
have
looks
like the
awesome
whole
too.
thing on like trade or?
Yeah, I threw a couple in. There's like Road to Metal or something, and
Okay.
then they're doing. I think the next one is like Death Metal or something like that. I'm like, dude,
Oh, nice.
fucking sweet.
I got to show you this real quick. Going back to the physical media. So I went to Walmart and um they had like this little Christmas display up or Halloween display up,
Hmm.
and they had this Blu-ray that was Universal movie monster classics. So it was 6 movies, and it was like the like old school Universal monsters, like Dracula, yeah, sorry, Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, like
Yeah,
your
the
original
original Avengers.
movie monsters, yeah. And so that shit was $40. It was a Blu-ray, had like a cool lenticular cover, and it was 6 movies. It was like Dracula, Frankenstein.
Yeah,
The same day I bought that, I get home, I'm online, I'm like looking around, and it's Prime Day, and they have this Blu-ray collection, and it's the complete Universal Movie Monster 30 film 30 film
yeah.
collection, and it was
It's your OG
60
Avengers,
it
man.
was $69. It was $20 more than what I just bought, and I'm like, I'm getting it, and then I'm returning that shit. But
Yeah,
yeah, it is like,
that
dude,
is awesome.
this thing is awesome. And I love the way they have it broken down. So there's 30 movies on here, but the way they got it broken down is they have like Dracula, right? So so Dracula is considered like a universal classic,
Yeah,
just Dracula. This Blu-ray though has Dracula, Dracula's daughter, Son of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. So
yeah,
it's like everything that was connected to Dracula all in
that's
one
awesome.
disc. And then they have the same thing for Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, that kind of thing. So pretty cool. And then I was completely blown away by this. Um, the fucking Creature from the Black Lagoon, I noticed earlier when I was looking at it, has 3D versions of the like legit 3D versions of the
Nice.
movie on here. So if you're like me and you've got a freaking movie theater with 3D
Yeah,
capabilities, you just have 3D available. So
nice.
but
Oh,
yeah, so no, I picked up a couple things. I picked up that I've shown this off a million times, The Fly. A couple of things that are coming down the pipe for the Scattercast Instagram
other
thing.
than
Nothing.
other than uh, Short Circuit 2, which if you watch the previous episode, we bought while we were recording, and then I shut my comic box down, which I feel bad, but
Yeah.
I told Mike, I go,
You
don't worry.
texted me.
Yeah,
I
I
was
didn't
like, dude,
worry
this
about
is a sad day. He's like literally texting me that he's doing this.
it. Yeah.
Like,
Uh,
damn.
it would have been, I think, 17 years I had that one open with him.
Ugh.
So it was just there. I don't know. It's been a lot. We can do a whole show on it,
Right.
but I told him, I go, dude, I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna do, I did some charity event thing for him early on in the pandemic, which he like thanked me again. I'm like, dude, it was fun to do. I'm glad I did it. I did a cover auction, so the money went to his shop. I think I raised like a couple
Nice.
bucks for him. But I was like, dude, with Magic kicking off with us and doing the podcast, I'm going to be in here a lot, picking up some stuff.
Oh
It
yeah,
looked like
for
he
real.
cut down on a lot of stuff. I don't know if a lot of stuff is coming in. But yeah, I haven't really got anything pending coming down. Oh, do you want to give out your shout outs since this episode was
Oh yes,
so
yes.
we got
I need to
some
shout out to Shane and
fans.
Fruki, who right now they might have been asleep by now, but yeah, Shane and Fruki, they have been subscribing and listening
Thank you.
and waiting for new content. So
Mm. And
it's
this
been
one's late,
awesome.
but we should have a lot to kind of glean off this one.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
because we missed our posting schedule. But
right.
definitely, uh, since Ray took over the Instagram, we've been getting a lot of posts. So if you'd like rare movies, Blu-rays, DVDs, like that sort of thing, you've been posting a lot on that, which has been awesome. We've been following a lot of accounts back. So if you're into collecting, start following Scattered on Instagram. I post. I mean, I wonder if we could put like tag it where we're from and maybe people can discern who's posting what, but
Mhm.
for right now it's just we're the only two that use it. um so I posted recently, I finally built my Exploding Kittens Lego house, which is I'm 40, almost 40.
Dude,
It
that's
was the
nice.
very first Lego. It's not even real Legos, it's just like whatever off-brand blocks, but it's Legos. It was my very first Lego set I ever built, because that's
Nice.
not the one that's like four pieces
Right,
that you would
right.
get,
Yeah.
because we never had Legos growing up.
No,
Like
dude, we didn't.
you had a gas station, and then we had a couple
Mhm.
little boxes, but I think mom stepped on one once and was like, "Nope,
Nope.
not having this shit."
You're not
And it
getting
was
this.
expensive. Like,
No.
dude, it was like
Dude,
we just
Legos are expensive,
they're
man.
expensive.
Like it's ridiculous.
Dude, there was a time when they were valued at higher than gold as an investment.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because gold like shit the bed like early like 2012, 11 or
Mm.
something like that, or whenever I forget. But definitely follow that. We've been posting a little bit more. I think I like posting a little bit on Instagram more. That's kind of like where I'm going to focus our social media. Maybe do some production photos and things there, just because I like the photography aspect of it. It's just cool, just
Right.
showing some shit off. Um, so yeah, definitely follow us there, like and subscribe. We're on a 2 week schedule,
Again.
unless we missed something. But what was that? What's up?
I said I hit it again.
Oh, you're
I
fine.
broke my
No, it
nose.
was like you literally like brushed it, and it sounded like someone was coming into the
Oh,
room.
gotcha.
That's why it freaked me out. Uh, but yeah, I think that we're just kind of growing our show, growing our stuff, and you know, we're adding some different aspects. Like we're doing some more magic kind of updates, but you know, I don't know. Kind of rambling
Awesome.
there. But yeah,
That's all
so
right,
like
man.
and subscribe, follow us on Instagram. And if you are someone who collects physical media and want us to talk about it, hit us up in the comments. If you're someone who
Oh
doesn't like
yeah, man.
physical media,
I'm
like
always down for talking about physical media. So
if you're someone who's like mostly into streaming, but you might like, I hope that we kind of hit the mark of just like a conversation of why we like it, not so like, preachy heavy of, this is better, this is worse. I feel like even in our own lives, like I said with gaming, like I appreciate streaming, I appreciate the small stuff. I also like, buying some physical things and movies and stuff. So anything else you want to hit before we go?
no, man.
Like a
Good.
usual episode, we're like toast by the end of it. We're like, okay,
Yeah.
we go bye.
Uh,
I hear
yep.
I gotta go to bed. My mom's calling. I'm gonna get in trouble. So that is a reference to. I don't think that's a reference to my wife. That's a reference to. Um, uh, uh, fuck. God damn it.
My mom's calling.
My mom's calling. I gotta go to bed. Me and my wife always quote it. It's from "Show Me the Money." I love black
Oh,
people.
it's from Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. Yeah. So it's a
Yep.
Jerry Maguire quote. It wasn't like a shitty like stand up. He like my wife, shit like that. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. No, we always quote every time one of us is going to bed. We're like, I gotta go to bed. I'm gonna get in trouble. I can hear my mom
Nice.
or whatever he says. So yeah. Uh,
Awesome.
till next time. I
Yep.
don't know. I have no good sign off.
I think yeah, we gotta that's our biggest thing, man. We cannot sign off. We're just
Yeah.
like, okay, all right,
Okay.
bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Awesome.
So peace out, everybody.
Peace out. Later.
Later.
Yo.
Damn it. Because we're like
with
cursed.
a streaming service or that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our fault. Something has happened.
You froze.